The first thing I recall is the distinct clack of her stilettos striking the polished marble floor as she sauntered into the restaurant, 5 hours tardy. I had been perched at the table, cradling my second bottle of red wine, feigning indifference to the waitstaff's pitying looks and the quiet sympathy in the eyes of passers-by. The candle before me had dwindled to a stub. The cake they'd presented hours ago had slumped into a sad heap. Then she appeared, my wife not alone, but arm in arm with a duo of friends, their faces flushed with the glee of champagne. "Look," she declared, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. I said he'd still be sitting there, loyal as a lost dog. Their laughter rang out, sharp and unfeeling. I offered a smile, lifted my glass in a toast, and in that precise moment, I knew the battle was already decided. It wasn't always this way. There was a time when her gaze held me as if I were the only soul in existence. In the quiet of night, she murmured vows of forever. We crafted a life together, dreamed of a family. For years, I trusted in our shared vision in her. But love doesn't crumble in an instant. It erodes gradually, masked by sweet scents and flimsy excuses. She began staying late at work, clutching her phone like a secret, treating me like an outdated piece of decor. I saw it all. I always saw. That evening in the restaurant, as her friends ordered cocktails on my dime and tossed barbs between sips, I retraced the past 12 months in my mind. Every deception, every stumbled word, every empty sorry. The ache, once jagged as broken glass, hardened into something colder, sharper, deliberate. They thought me frail. A man too tethered by affection to break free. A man bound by devotion. They mistook my restraint for fragility, my quiet for defeat. They had no clue who they were mocking. My strategy unfolded in silence. I didn't storm out or raise my voice. Confrontation only arms the adversary with time to prepare. Instead, I observed, gathered, and listened. Her phone was an open book. She was reckless, too confident in her control. One night, as the shower hummed, I synced her messages to my laptop. The truth spilled out. Hotel receipts, late-night texts to someone named Eric, images she believed were erased. It didn't sting anymore. The evidence wasn't personal now. It was a weapon. Then came the finances. I'd always managed our money. She never cared for the minutiae. Too occupied with extravagance. With subtle precision, I redirected funds, carved out private accounts, and shifted assets into my name. By the time she might notice, if she ever did, she'd find only echoes and illusions. The will was next, quietly updated, notarized and secured. Every safety net she assumed was hers. Life insurance, the house savings slipped into my grasp. At night, she still laughed at my expense unaware. She thought she held the upper hand. I let her believe it. The final act began on my birthday. When she strutted out of that restaurant with her entourage, she thought she'd left me humiliated. In reality, she'd ignited my liberation. I left the bill untouched, having already arranged with the manager hours earlier to shift the reservation to her name, her card. Watching her expression as the waiter presented the tab, 5 hours of wine, appetizers, and her friends' indulgences, was the first sip of triumph. She paid, seething, while I strolled home beneath the city's glow, feeling weightless for the first time in years. The true strike landed later. Divorce papers, meticulously prepared and backed by undeniable proof of her infidelity, arrived at her workplace where her colleagues, though she bragged to about our perfect marriage, watched her facade fracture. Eric, the man she saw as her future, received his own dossier. Photos, messages, timestamps. His wife got a matching set. I insured it. I didn't need to shout or spill blood. My vengeance was calculated. Public enough to disgrace, legal enough to hold, private enough to pierce her pride. This morning, my phone buzzed relentlessly. 98 missed calls, her name flashing repeatedly. She knows now. The drained accounts, the house no longer hers, Eric's wife tossing him out, her job teetering as whispers erode her reputation. I didn't pick up. I poured my coffee, settled by the window, and savored the stillness. Do I feel remorse? Not a trace. Love is meant to be a sacred bond. She turned it into a stage act, thinking I was just a spectator, applauding while she twirled with others. She forgot I was the foundation she stood on. There only as long as I permitted. She pictured me as a pitiful creature, waiting at that table. Instead, I became the predator who walked away, leaving her amid the rubble of her own making. I imagine her now, pacing, dialing frantically, her voice breaking with desperation. I picture her friends, those who cackled at my expense, dodging her calls, unwilling to be pulled into her collapse. I envision Eric pleading with his wife, while my wife realizes she was never the prize, only a fleeting diversion. And I smile because revenge isn't about fury. It's about mastery, precision, timing. It's about wielding silence until it becomes the most deafening force in the room. When I entered that restaurant on my birthday, I was still a husband. When I left, I was something else. Unshackled, untouchable. And at last, done waiting.